Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. I want you to go with me as we make hot cross buns. Easter's coming up, and if you've never had hot cross buns, I would encourage you to try these. These are so much fun. If you're a fan of raisins like I am, you're going to love them. If you're not a fan of raisins, trade it out for currants or something that you do like. Throw some chocolate chips in there and make it look like hot cross buns. I don't care. But these are good. They're fairly easy to make. This is not rocket science. I figure if I can make them, just about anybody can. I have something in the oven right now. I have about 3 things going, trying to get things ready for the weekend. But just kind of bear with me. I don't want it to seem so scattered because I know what's going on, but in my kitchen it looks like, a lot of things going on. Plus we have a storm coming in, and I don't want to be videoing when there's a storm going on because my dogs tend to stick rather close to my feet, and I'm scared I'm going to trip over them. So the first thing we want to do is take, let's see, I need 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. We're going to put in our mixing bowl, and in this little saucepan I have about a little over 3/4 of a cup of milk and 3 tablespoons of butter, and I've warmed it to where the butter is kind of floating around in there. It's softened, but it's still warm. Now normally I would put the milk in there first. Did I say water? This is milk. Anyway, okay, maybe I do have too much going on. Normally I would put my warm milk in there first and sprinkle the yeast on top of it, but because, like a ding-dong, I knew I wasn't putting the butter in there for some reason, and it was because the yeast doesn't get to the liquid. It floats on top of the oil of the butter when you put it on there if you've got butter in it. But since I put the butter in, I put the yeast in first so it can touch the milk as it goes in. So 3/4 of a cup of milk, or actually a little over 3/4 of a cup of milk, maybe about a tablespoon more, and 3 tablespoons of softened or melted butter, and 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And it doesn't take long for that to start activating. You just want to make sure that your milk is not above about 110 degrees. If you're used to making bread, then you know you can stick your finger in it and know what about 110 degrees is. But if not, by all means, feel free to use a thermometer meant for kitchen gadgets or kitchen processes. So to that, I'm also going to add 2 eggs. Two eggs. We're going to add 1/4 of a cup of honey. And I coated my measuring cup with coconut oil and my spatula as well, just so the honey doesn't stick to it as much. Honey will almost stick to everything. Every once in a while I find something that it'll slide out of easily, but not often. But I do love my honey. Now this is what we're sweetening with. There's no sugar in this inside the rolls. Now we will make the cross on top of it out of some cream cheese frosting, but there's such a small amount of it, but you don't even have to use that on top if you don't necessarily want to, but that's what makes them hot cross buns, because it has the cross on the top. Let's see, we also want a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to put that in there after my flour. So let's put 3 1/4 cup of flour in there. This is just unbleached, organic, plain flour. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. A teaspoon of cinnamon. There's our cinnamon. 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. I buy mine at one of our 2 stores that sell spices in bulk, and I really like allspice. I've decided that it's one of my favorite spices. If I could choose allspice or cinnamon to go in one, and I only had one to pick, I'd probably choose allspice just because it's such a diverse flavor. It's almost like having 3 or 4 flavors instead of just one, so it's a really, really nice flavor. If you don't have any, I would encourage you to keep some on hand for things like cookies and stuff that just need that kick. All right, I think that's all we're going to put in there for now. I'm going to put my dough hook on my mixer. We're going to mix this for just a few minutes, and then we will add our raisins to the mixture. And in the meantime, I'll take my other dish out of the oven that's ready. So we'll be right back. All right, we've had this going about 5 minutes, and we're going to turn this off. And the rain has started, and I've got one doggie getting really close. The other one's out in the sunroom. I don't know if she's asleep and hadn't figured it out, but I was looking out the window, and all of a sudden that rain it got really dark, and I thought, oh, I'll just kind of look out and see where the clouds are, and all of a sudden it just came like somebody turned the shower on. It's crazy. All right, this dough smells fabulous. Because of that fragrance of that allspice, it's just so much more complex than just cinnamon. It's really, really nice. Now you'll have an allspice mix, or you have ground allspice berries. And I think the one that I buy is the ground allspice berries. I get mine from Good Measure Market here in town or Natural Food Store here in town, and I love both of those stores. They both have different things that I like. But they both carry bulk spices and things. But the ground allspice berries are just so good. All right, we have about 3/4 of a cup of raisins, and y'all know I love me some raisins. So we're going to pour those in there, and we'll have our mixer going for about 30 to 40 minutes. That'll help drown out some noise of the rain. But anyway, just turn your mixer on and let it go, and it's going to get those gluten strands really long and stretchy and make these rolls really good. So it can't get much easier than what we've done so far, right? All right, I'm going to put this back on. You don't have to turn it on high, just enough to keep it moving. So we'll give it about 35, 40 minutes, and then we'll be right back. We're back. It's been about 50 minutes since 50 since we turned this mixer on. It's just been going low and slow. I stopped it once to clean the dough off of the hook and just push it back down in there. So for right now, we are going to unplug it and get the dough off, and we're going to put a shower cap over the top of it just to keep it from drying out. So if you have a kind of a lint-free tea towel, get it a little bit damp if you want to, or it's just some kind of cloth, and put over it, or cellophane wrap, put it over the top of your bowl. We're just going to let this rise for about an hour. It will probably pretty close to double in size. And then we're going to make, I think this makes 12. I usually make 12 rolls out of this. I hadn't made these. I hadn't made these since last Easter. I think I made some and took to my neighbor that I just met. I don't know how long she had lived there, but I took her some of these. And I'm wondering if I haven't already made a video of hot cross buns. So if I have, this will be the second one, so enjoy. But seriously, I have not made these since last Easter. All right, I'm going to get all that extra dough from the outside of the bowl, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is what we're dealing with here. So see the raisins in there? They tear up a little bit, but it's not bad. Still going to be in there. It just may not be in bigger pieces. So we'll cover this up. We'll come back in an hour. We'll shape our rolls and let them rise again, and then we'll pop them in the oven. We'll have homemade hot cross buns pretty soon. So come back. All right, we're back. Thanks for coming back. I guess you really don't have to have a lot of patience when it's just like that. Coming right back. All right, our dough has risen a bit, not a whole lot, but they'll rise once they're in the pan. The only time I ever panic is when I'm using someone else's yeast and I don't know if it's fresh or not, so I don't know if my bread's going to rise. But with my yeast, I've never had any go bad in the last probably 20 years or so, just because I use it so quickly enough that it doesn't have time to sit in the pantry and go bad. But if you have doubts about your yeast, test it in a little bit of warm water with a little bit of sugar in it before you get started, just a little bit of it, and make sure it's alive and active before attempting to use a lot of ingredients to make something else. I'm turning this out onto my clean countertop. It doesn't have to be oiled or floured. This is a no flour surface. We don't want to incorporate any more flour in this than we need to, just because that would tend to make it dry, because it will absorb it. All right, this will make 12 rolls, so we'll start out by dividing this in half. Divide each one of those in half, and then we'll divide each one of those into 3. I'm hoping you can see how I'm doing this. I think the camera is set up at a pretty good angle. All right, once we get that done, I've seen some people take their hand and they'll kind of put it in a C shape and do this around on the counter and get their rolls shaped up. I can do that, but I'm just so used to doing this. Basically, I'm taking the dough, turning it around, and kind of pulling it up onto itself like that. Just going around in a circle. Your pan does not have to be buttered. If you want to butter it ahead of time, that's totally fine, but it's not a requirement for this. This isn't a dough that's going to stick easily to your pan. I'll usually take the larger ones and put them toward the outside, and the smaller ones go to the center. You can kind of see that. And the reason being is because the outer corners normally cook hotter or faster, or both, than the center ones do. And I don't intentionally have a small one, but if I happen to mismeasure and have a small one, then I will put it toward the center. So the plan here is we will shape these out into as many equally sized rolls as we can. We will cover it again. I'll probably put it in my lower oven. We're going to let it rise for about an hour, and then we'll bake these. can already see right now we're going to have to rearrange some of these. There's a smaller one right here, and I'm going to move it to the center, put the larger one on the outside. And I think all the larger ones are on the outer edges of this. So I'm going to get a towel. This is my stained towel I use to put pizza in the oven. Cover it up like that. We'll place it in my lower oven. Whoops, I forgot. I have a pan of granola in there drying out. I'll turn a light on so it'll stay warm in there. And we'll set our timer for about 45 minutes. And we'll let it rise during that time. So when we come back, I will have preheated the oven. And I'll show you putting them in. And then we'll bake those off. So we'll be right back. These have been rising in the oven. It's pretty warm down there. I had the light on. Well, have the light on. Now I've turned it off. So it's pretty warm down there in that lower oven when I turn the light on. Not just like it would bake anything, but it's toasty. So these have risen a bit, not just a lot, but again, they're going to rise in the oven. I'm not concerned about it. In this cup, I have 1 egg yolk, and I have 2 teaspoons of water. And this is going to be what we brush on the top of these, just to give them that shiny appearance. If I can keep from knocking it out of the cup. There, our oven has preheated now. This is not a requirement for these. It adds very little flavor, if any, whatsoever, but it is going to give them that shine, to almost like a pretzel. You know how a pretzel's real shiny? That's kind of the same effect this gives. But just brush it gently. Don't want to deflate your bread, but rather give each one of them a little coating of it. I'm hoping you can see this. Probably not very well. Trust me, I'm brushing them. Make sure all the sides have been hit with the egg wash as well, because if not, they won't be shiny. Okay, I'll let you see what this looks like. Shiny and yellow with egg yolk. Okay, we're going to pop these in the oven. And these are going to bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. I'll set it for 20 and then check it at that time, and we'll see what they look like. So we'll be right back. Rolls are ready. Okay, I had to add 5 minutes to the time, so 25 minutes in all. All right, this is what our rolls look like. See how shiny they are? And they're not wet. That's just the shine from the egg yolk on there. So I'm going to let these cool. I'm going to walk the dogs, and then we'll come back, and we are going to put our X on there, or our cross on there, which is our hot cross buns. And they have to be cooled completely, or the glaze on there that we're making the cross with will completely dissolve. They will be just buns, not hot at that point. They'll be warm buns because you will not see a cross on them. So we'll be back. I'm going to go walk the dogs real quick, and when I come back, we'll let these cool off even more. We've got to let them cool off to room temperature. We'll put our glaze on there and finish up. I think our rolls are cooled off enough. I think. I can feel the warmth on the bottom, but it's just because the sides are cooler. All right, so this is just a cream cheese frosting. This is simply butter, cream cheese, powdered sugar, and salt. Don't ever forget the salt. Otherwise, it just tastes like a sweet blob. Oh, and there's actually really good vanilla in it too. I'll try to remember to write down the recipe for my cream cheese frosting in the description along with the recipe for these. This is just cream cheese frosting that I keep in the refrigerator all the time. I keep it back toward the really cold part of my refrigerator. So seriously, I could keep this in there for a year. It will not go bad. Don't ask me how, because I don't know. But it's always available when I need it. For something small like this, I don't want to use a block of cream cheese and butter and get out my mixer and all that stuff for just little lines on something like this. Even though I feel like it's very important on this, it doesn't need but about a tablespoon. So, all right, I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. This is just a measuring glass that I have. These are so handy. If you've not seen these in our big store in town, they carry these, but they have ounces, teaspoons, tablespoons, milliliters on it. It's just really handy to have. I have several of these, but we're going to take a snack size zip top bag, put it down in here, and turn, or put the edge over the glass. I'm going to push it all the way up to where the bottom of the bag is at the top of the glass, like this. And I'm going to put just a little bit in there. I can always squeeze the extra back into the container if I don't need it, but I don't like having to fill it up twice. All right, let me get a pair of scissors. Take this off here. Turning it down into that glass just keeps the frosting from getting all on the side of it and just making a worse mess than what I could normally make. Seal off the bag. There should still be a little pocket of air down in the corner of it right there. And we're just going to snip that off ever so slightly. You can always cut more off, but you can't cut less. So make sure you don't cut it too big. Gently squeeze it down toward the corner. Don't be so fierce with it that you make the bag explode. That's not what you want. All right, we're just going to make lines on this. See if I can get this going out. Since they're connected, that makes it real easy to do it like this. And then we go back the other direction. you get an air bubble in it, it's going to make it skip, but that's okay. More than anything, it just startles me when it happens. I don't know why, because it's not like I think it's going to have an explosive in it or something. So, all right, I think we're just going to have enough. All right, and I have that much left in there, so not too bad. I'll just squeeze that back into the container. Okay, here's our hot cross buns, and I hope you enjoy these. Hope you enjoyed the video, but I hope more than anything you try these, and if you can make them and they turn out right, which I don't see how you could fail. Honestly, these are so super easy, but give them to someone as a gift for Easter. Tell them the Easter story, share that good news with them, and let them have these to enjoy. Maybe they'll come over to your house and enjoy them with you. So we look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. Bye, guys.